morning. Today I think the audio is a little better. The other day I had to literally shriek. So you all have shifted from there to there. Okay. Anyone is missing that Chegu is not here, Hansa is not here, then the cameraman is not here, aviation cameraman. Okay, let's refresh your memory from what we left in the last session. So if you look at the last session, this was all the pisang goreng story that we were talking about. So in this, we had this part, which we were talking about the GP, gross profit and net profit. So keep that in mind. Then we have the second one here where we looked at the accounting format of how you speak about your movie. That means you talk about the whole story of your 1 month or 1 year. How do you speak in the accounting format? So we looked at that. Then subsequent to that, we looked at this one. That is how to take your dream, take your 10 years dream, break it up into different bubbles, define it, and then you say, what should I do today? So that is the other thing we spoke. Then we had this Tam Sam song. That is to figure out what really is your market. If you say, I'm going to sell this much, is there a market for that much? Then we spoke about balance sheet. We said that is a selfie that you take about your company. That's a snapshot to look at how your company looks like. So that is the format of the balance sheet. Any questions from that session, last session? We can move on? Okay. Okay, among these financial reports, we are going to get into the cash flow today. We had covered P&L, we had covered balance sheet. The most important now is cash flow. See, you're going to do a presentation tomorrow. So when you do the presentation tomorrow, how do you determine what is the capital you require? You're trying to tell the bank, please give me 500,000 or please give me 200,000. How do you determine this? So that is determined using the cash flow. See, the bank's purpose of looking at a P&L is to say, can you afford to pay me back? Are you doing a business which is profitable? The purpose of looking at a balance sheet is to understand, did you invest anything? Or are you coming to me and say, please give me free money and I'll test? So those are the things happens in the balance sheet. How do you know that I need this much of money for the next 10 years? That comes from cash flow. So let's get a car from a supermarket today before we move forward. So you will have this question of how do I buy a car from a supermarket? So that's how that supermarket is looking like. Let's do a little bit of writing down today. Can you just distribute this piece of paper, one each? Just give out to everybody one each. Here's the people at the back. Okay, what I want you to do, fold the paper in two, just fold it like that, easier for you to handle. Sure. If you have a very good dark pen, it's fine. If you don't, take one of these, because at the end of it, we'll revisit the things that you wrote. Okay, you can have any of those, you can just pass around. There are more there, you can pick up if you want. Okay, so as we go along, there'll be certain things which are not in your notes, certain things which I need you to think about before you speak tomorrow. So those are the little key points you're going to write down. You saw that video. Okay, the purpose of showing you that video is to emphasize the message I gave you in the last session. While you're doing your projection, I need you to look at what is changing in your industry. You see, if you are planning to buy a land there and make it into a car park, you know that will change in the next 5 years. There is no 10-year business for that. What you saw there was Volkswagen. Volkswagen's supermarket for cars, where a person can go in, type on a computer, choose your color, choose your model, choose what you want and say yes, the robot will deliver it to him. And the robot delivers that at 0 kilometers, the odometer. So when you look at that 0 kilometer, that means that car is getting into that building through a tunnel from the factory on a conveyor belt. Unlike if you go to Proton, where when the thing is finished, a guy will take this and drive into the field and park it at the field. Another guy will take it and drive up that ramp and go onto a truck. And that goes like a horse and reaches Batupahat, and you will buy from there. That dealer would have taken it for the wedding yesterday, and you will not know. So Volkswagen wanted to deliver at 0, and they came with that. Now what did we learn from that? This thing came long back. So learning from there, car park operators decided that I want to automate car park. So the automated car park is already there in Europe, in America, and the one that I've seen personally is in Dubai. If you go to Conrad Hotel in Dubai, as you drive in, it is like multiple lifts. So you drive your car into the lift, and you press the button, take out your key. Now there is an option to say, I want a car wash as well. If you say car wash and you get out, the lift closes, the car goes somewhere, God knows where it goes. And if you have said wash, it is going to the washing bay and getting parked somewhere. By the time you come back, you scan your code, the car gets delivered in another place, and you get out. So if you look at that whole thing, they have copied from this, improvised, and come there. So a lot of businesses, the underlying ground is changing very, very fast. So you would have heard of this thing called IR 4.0, where manufacturing is changing, the way product is produced is changing, and you have a lot of products which are now produced by printing, by 3D printing. You see, you have your earrings, your rings. There are already 3D printing companies that prints this. No more manufacturing, no more using a chisel, no more using a lathe machine. And you would think this is small enough and I can print. No, they are printing houses right now. See, you have buildings in Mumbai, in Calcutta, a building in Dubai. These are all printed with a printing machine. So it wasn't by construction. So whatever projection you're doing, ask that question, check, is it changing? If it is changing, there is no 10-year story anymore. So this is how it looks like when you look from the top, this car supermarket, and that's the building. That blue color one is the building. There are two towers in which you have right connected to the factory. Okay, let's go to cash flow now. So I told you it's the most important. So write down the first statement there, is my industry changing? Okay, When you talk about cash flow, the term itself is very easy to understand. It talks about how cash moves in your business. How much money is coming in, how much money is going out. Typically, when you take a startup, the first money that comes in is your startup capital. That means you and your friend and some people would have spoken. You say, I want to start and I want to do this business. And I'm going to put in 10,000 ringgit. So that first 10,000, that's your first in. And then you start using the money. So this is by far the most important for business owners. So for business owners, at a time when economy is bad, assuming you're making a loss, if you can find a way to keep your cash flow positive, you will still survive. Because business will always have the sinusoidal curve. You will have that curve when you're on top, making hell of a lot of money. You're making enough to lose during the bad times. And when it comes to the bad times, if you can keep it positive, you're great. So to give you an example, you look at all these mini markets, hypermarkets, supermarkets, everything around you. There is one called Lulu hypermarket that is opened in KL. Lulu started in the Middle East, came in KL. If you look at a basic formula of Lulu, when you supply, if you are a supplier to Lulu, you can go in there and put in your jeans, 200 jeans for sale. 1 month later, you come in and check how many was sold. You take out 10 is sold, you replenish the 10, you give the guy a bill. Only then your invoice has gone in, not when you supply. After giving him that bill, 90 days later, he will pay you. So 90 days later, he has sold 100 other things as well. So you look at his business, even if he's selling your jeans at cost or slightly less, his cash flow is positive. Because he's not giving you the money, he's holding on to it. And if he keeps increasing products, his cash flow is going to always expand and always positive. And he can catch up. He can have 2 or 3 months of making a loss, and he can catch up after that. So look at this picture. How many of you have seen this aircraft in this color? You wouldn't have seen this. This was the beginning. Asia had 3 aircrafts, 3 Boeings, which was this color. It was under DRB HICOM. So at that time, they were running short-haul flights here and there when Tony Fernandez decided, I'm going to buy. So when he went and bought, he paid, everyone says he paid a ringgit because the company had like 40 million losses. So he went in and said, I'll buy the loss from you. So the entire share and the 3 aircrafts, you give it to me in 1 ringgit. And he started restructuring the credit, reshaping the aircraft. It went on like that. During this time, when aircraft was like this, you can see Tony Fernandez himself pushing that ram in Subang Airport. See, these were the early days when I used to fly a lot. So when I land in Subang Airport, he'll be standing there in a t-shirt waiting for that 3 aircraft, one of it to land. When it lands, he's there with these guys pushing that ram. And that is how that thing expanded. And then it got rebranded like this. And he moved on from Boeing to Airbus. When he moved to Airbus, you got to verify this. The story says that he cut a deal with Airbus to give the aircrafts on lease. That means he had a credit, you see, which not many aircraft companies will provide. So Airbus looked at it and said, fine, your formula seems to be a winning formula. It is looking like really explosive. So I want to be part of your formula. So let me give you 30 aircrafts and I don't charge you today. So that gave them the cash flow sufficient to survive as they move forward. So there was a lot of little creative things done. It was not something that just magically happened. So that little creative things helped him sell tickets lower than the bus ticket price. So at that time, if you look at people like me, we were looking at it and saying, no, this is not going to work. See, I used to come to Subang Airport, look at this and look at his website, which looks shitty. It was one-rate website, which will not work well. But what he did, he said, if you book the ticket with the agent, you pay 30 ringgit surcharge. You book online is without a surcharge. Now he started forcing people to go online, improve the website, it became better, started having the midnight sale. So the cash flow was maintained very well at the beginning. That is how it went on. Now, let's go back to our pisang goreng. We sold the pisang goreng at a profit. We were selling it with a good margin. We had enough capital to do the job. And let's look at a cash flow. So look at this term credit. So write this term there, credit. Okay, as you start your business at a startup level, there is something called cash accounting. The other day we spoke about accrual and provision. Okay, cash accounting is a system where you only write it down when the cash come in or the cash goes out. You don't care whether there is an invoice or there is a credit. Hi. Didn't see you the other session. Last session, ta jumpa. Yeah. Okay. So I want to introduce this term credit. See, the moment credit gets into the picture, the story gets more interesting. It helps you expand, but then your handling of that situation changes. So let's talk about the same movie the other day. You had 500, your father gave you 10,000, you bought pisang goreng, but now you bought pisang goreng at 60 days credit. Last week, we bought it at cash. Now your business is expanding. You went to the other, Amina went to the supplier and said, please give me credit. I will buy first, I'll pay you 60 days later. And you sold for cash because you're selling out for cash. So you're telling your supplier that, you can see clear? Okay. So if you look at that, the father's money, your money, no change. But you talk about the pisang goreng, you need to pay supplier only 60 days later. It has tweaked your gear a little bit. Here, customer is giving you immediate money. It is somewhat similar to that Lulu supermarket that I'm talking about. If you look at the cash flow now, these are the things you look at in cash flow. What was the opening bank balance when you started? You bought some display unit, table and all that the other day. You have sales collection, you buy pisang goreng, you have fixed expense. So if you look at January, you started with 10,005. You paid 2,000 for the table and chair. Somebody paid you 3,005 because the people who buy pisang goreng from you, but you didn't pay the supplier. So you have zero then. Fixed expense, all your petrol, the guy who's standing and selling with you, 500. So you have 11,500 balance in the bank. Now if you go next month, this 11,500 starts there. Table and chair tapai beli lagi, double sekali. Then 3,500 is still coming. Supplier masih tapai baya. You have fixed cost here. Your money is going up. So you can see here you are spending money, but money is going up. Then comes here where it evens out, where you have to pay the supplier for the first time. So at this point, it has given you an age to start. So when you talk about lending or borrowing from a bank, your first step is to look at, can you borrow from your supplier? So when you borrow from your supplier, you don't tell him, please give me a loan. You're telling him, charge me a little later. So if you have 10 suppliers like this, you have working capital from the guy. That's a working capital sitting in your system. So you have taken his money, he has spent money to buy the pisang goreng, make it, give it to you, but you haven't paid him. So this is the first step. So when you present to the bank, that's the first one to qualify to say, have I attempted, have I brought my own money that you have? You and your father have brought money. Have I asked my suppliers to fund me in the name of credit? So here you have. So it goes on. After you stabilize, life goes on. Now let's say the credit is reverse. You buy pisang goreng in cash because you are not a very good businessman. Pagi-pagi you keluar, pagi sana, you said, okay, cash, nah, I'll buy the pisang goreng. And you supply to Putra World Trade Center. Your customer is big deal. Customer says, saya bayar 90 hari sekali. So you are a businessman who started. Now you say that Putrajaya is big deal, very good customer. But I have to buy the pisang goreng cash because that guy don't trust me. He says, no, I tabli percaya you bayar dulu. So now what happens is, the whole thing has reversed. And if you go, let's say 3 times your business grew because you are going to Putrajaya. So when it grows 3 times, whatever you sold 3,500 sebulan will now become much, much more, 3 times more. Story is great. Your P&L will look great. You are making a lot of profit. But let's look at your cash flow. Now when you look at the major dan krusi tak ada berubah because you are supplying to Putrajaya, you are not going to buy those things. Sales collection lambat. The collection comes 3 bulan kemudian. Bayaran purchase awal. Your fixed expense tak ada berubah. Bapa mak punya money tak berubah. Month number 2, you're already short of 4,005. Which means, if you don't get help, despite everything looking great, if you go to your saudara, waktu kenduri kawin, the guy, apa you buat? Saya supply pisang goreng, Putrajaya, sounds great. But sampai bulan kedua, if that relative don't lend you money, you're screwed. Your business will stop. So this is one phenomena where you go to the bank, or you go to your vendor, or of course your father gave you 10,000, go and ask for another 10,000. So that is what will happen here. So what happens here when the correction happens? You add one more line for the bank facility. Now bank gives you 11,000. You see that thing is not only corrected, after that you're growing like hell. So this is where the business is superb. You found a small help, you tweaked it. After this you don't need help. So this is what the bank is looking for. Bank is saying, yes, you are going to make money after I give you. Now I can collect back my money with some interest. So that is what they are looking for. So in determining this cash flow, this is how you put this through. So going back to the basics of your business. What we spoke the other day, if you want to remain how you are right now, if you say I'm like this right now, I'm buying cash, selling cash, everything is comfortable, this whole program is no use for you. If you are moving from that into the next step where you say I want to expand, then you are facing these issues. That's when you need this program to analyze how it goes and how it comes. So that 11,000 is your savior. Now that's your bank. That is Manara Maybank. So tomorrow you're going to have that guy from CGC, Rizal, who will be sitting in the panel. You understand what is CGC? No? The term CGC is familiar, you are familiar. You know what is CGC? Credit Guarantee Corporation. Okay. Credit Guarantee Corporation is interesting because those days, kita ada bank aja. Waktu saya your age, we only have the bank to go and ask for money. When you go to the bank, the problem we face is bank want to be very, very safe because bank is not your brother. Bank is not your father, mother, brother, nothing. So that guy has no sentiment. People always have this term that bila hujan, bank will take your payung. He is not your brother. He is doing a business. So you can't blame that guy. So bank, if I go now fresh and that same pisang goreng story and I ask for money from the bank, they will not give me because they want some security. They'll say, do you have a property? Do you have something to put in as a collateral? Baru saya bagi duit. So now CGC is a government body that was formed that gives a guarantee for that credit. But dia punya interest rate a little higher. So if you look at the person who's coming tomorrow, Rizal who's coming tomorrow, he must be processing this kind of application every day. You know, hundreds of applications every day from small business people, from startups, from people who cannot raise this collateral. So that's the right guy for you to get your feedback. So what they look at, what CGC looks at is, do you believe in your business? Are you able to tell me a story which is believable? Do you believe in it? Have you taken a bet on it? Now I'll walk with you to your dream. That is what they are doing. But remember, you are paying a slightly higher interest rate because the money is coming with no collateral. So if you look at this, to expand your business, you want to enter new market, you have a higher credit, you want to buy machine. These are the times when your cash flow becomes negative and you ask for things. You want to hire new talent, you want to hire new people to your company, you want to modernize, you want to go for digital transformation. These are the things where suddenly you have a hit in the cash flow. Whatever that is running fine today, you suddenly have an investment. So that's why you ask for the bank. So let's see in a crux what you've heard on this. You see, cash flow is like a very, very deep subject. If you look at a spreadsheet that is used to derive this cash flow, it is at least like 20, 30 lines and multiple derivations. So what you have looked at, one is a statement. If you look at how cash flow statement looks like, you have looked at what credit does to your business, credit in purchase, credit in sales, and the role of bank facility. This far it is clear? It is simple enough to understand, right? Any questions so far? No question? Okay. Now that we covered those things, I suppose we are doing fine. Let's move on to business plan. This is what you're going to talk tomorrow. So let's talk about a few more points what you need when you're talking tomorrow to the panel. So more importantly, when you're addressing the CGC guy, what are you going to tell him? Okay. Let's assume that you all are the CGC people and I'm the one telling you. So what would I want to come and say? You have about 10 minutes, maximum 15 minutes to make your story. It is not a very long time. That guy has another 10 or 20 minutes to ask you questions, speak to you and all that. You can use that forum, both to tell him something or to ask him. You can do both. After that, you have 3 months to make all the corrections and derive the actual plan. So tomorrow is not the actual plan. You don't have to worry too much. You got to give him in a quick 1-minute summary, what do you do? What is your product? What is your service? Where do you buy or do you produce? Do you manufacture? That is the first part. Second part, a quick summary of what do you want to do? Your 10-year story. To say that I'm today this way, I want to become much better in 10 years. Now, I'm an entrepreneur, I cannot see that far. Now, I can see maybe 5 years, because 10 years very, very far. That's your dream. Now, these 5 years, these are the things I'm going to do. I'm going to add a machine, I'm going to add some people, I'm going to add some new products, and then I'm going to achieve my dream. Now, when I do this, it's going to shake up my cash flow. And this is how it's roughly going to shake it up. How do you derive this number? You can put all these iterations for tomorrow, it will take time. You do a calculation of what are you adding. You're telling the guy right now I'm fine, but I'm adding this, it's going to cost me about 520,000. And that is the cash flow assistance I need from you and moving forward. To make him convinced, you will say why I feel I can go into this expansion. One, is there a market for it? That was your Sam, Tom, Tam diagram. Is there a market for what you're talking about? Yes, there is. Second, I'm willing to bet into it because I got the talent to do it, or I'm finding the talent to do it. So if these things are convinced, now you can put it back to him to say that, how shall I go forward? So he will start asking you questions. He'll punch holes in your argument to say, hey, no, this one won't work. You're bluffing me. Is this correct? So if you're able to defend these things, great. If you're unable to defend, you go home and find the answer. So in 3 months, you should have the answer. So let's look at, when you're giving this talk tomorrow, what is this evolution that you're going to focus on? How is your business going to evolve? So if you look at this year 0 to year 10, okay, let's call this in a couple of colors, easier to remember. The first one is a red phase, zone mera. Zone mera is your year 0 when you first kick off, because you can die or you can survive, because you are taking a new story and starting first time. For some of you, the year 0 is finished. Like for you, year 0 is over. For you, maybe now it's year 0. So you have, is your product new? Sabon tu baru lagi? Okay, that means you are still in year 0, baru testing. So when you take year 0 is the red phase where you are testing. Then comes the blue skies. When you finish testing, you say, yes, there is a market, sai dapat jual, the market is receptive, it is wonderful. You feel great, you move into year 1. Then is the ember, where you decide whether you want to expand or not. All the story today, we are focusing on this ember. This point where you are trying to say, I've already started my business, I want to stay like this, you're always in blue. You say, no, I want to move forward, then you get into the orange, the ember. Last is the green, where you say, I want to be like Tony Fernandez, or I want to be like a Virgin Galactic's owner. That is the last part. So if you look at this a little bit dull because the light is very bright. I'm looking at a business milestone, when you look at here, your personal milestone and your product milestone. So what are you going to look at to convince the other guy who listens to it? Red phase, you're doing a proof of concept and you're creating a history and creating an experience. That is a test phase. So you're testing for the first time. That's what you're doing. So how many of you are now in the red phase? You're in the red phase, you're in the red phase, you're in the red phase, you're in the red phase. Have your business started? Started. Yours, Chegu? Business Damula? Okay, so yours also started. Who else? Not started yet. Okay, so several of you are here. Those of you yang duduk di sini, what you are doing right now is you are making an assumption. You fikir market tu perlu barang ni. That you are assuming. You don't know the numbers yet. And then you are trying to think, put things together, and you are trying to launch into the market. You are trying to say, please buy. This is what you are doing. There is a reverse method whereby you go into the market, you find out what is lacking, and you come back. Like probably yours is like that. See, theirs is the B40 training, where they see the government is keep saying B40 having a problem, B40 that is solution, B40 has an issue. So theirs, demand is already there. Now you are designing the product. So there are the two kind of people who will sit here. So when you sit here, the pitfall, what is the danger you want to avoid? The biggest danger is you will be in love with your product. Like you have a soap, you will be in love with it. You have your pastry, you will be in love with it. Because you are in love with it, you think the whole world should like it. The world may not like it. So there is a reality check. So that can also happen to you as a trap, because when you say B40, Prime Minister saying please train, and you launch a product and you say, wow, this is great, because you believe in it. But you don't know the world believes in it or not. That is where that TAM, SOM TAM is important. For you to do a reality check, does this really have a market before you move in? Otherwise, in this phase, you will feel fine because you're going to friends, relatives, people that you know, and you create a circle and you're feeling okay. When you move here, this is the real kickoff. When you kick off the business here, the one position you are in, now I'm opening up this personal milestone. What has happened to you as a person? When you first kick off, most companies will have 3 employees. And the 3 will be I, me, and myself. So I will apply for leave. I will apply for leave for myself. Me will bring the money. So it will be only these 3 guys. So that is a very lonely world and very tough, because nobody will believe in you yet. You have brought some dream and you said, okay, I'm going to sell. And you find, yeah, it is selling. At that point, you are holding control of everything. You are like that, Lama dulu, you have this small gerai, tepi jalan, where you have one mama standing there, and he will make the tea, he'll give you the curry puff, he'll also give you the nasi lemak. This guy is in control of everything. When that mama becomes a tea corporation, life will change. So now at this point, your product, what is your product milestone? You will have one master product, because that's a dream you brought to reality. You have that. You need to have some supporting products, because if the master die, you need something else. So you are standing at that point. So like all of you who are in year 0 will be moving here. The rest of you, some of you might be already coming here. I think yourself, you have a long business. You have a 30-year, 3 generation. He has a business which is 3 generations old. But why he's here today is because the world has changed and the business model has changed. He's in the restaurant business. He's in the food business. So the whole model has changed. So he's back to here trying to think, what shall I do? So when you finish doing that, the father, mother will not believe you because they are from the old generation. You will come here and you will be I, me and myself, and you will try to make it happen. Now, after you finish this is the interesting part. The drawing board that you're coming to in this program is this Ember. So in Ember, what happens is, you start with growth and you go into expansion. So when you do that, the biggest difficulty is to figure out what to let go. Apa yang kita nak bagi control pada orang lain. You see, the guy who was making tea and giving this and all that now got 2 more workers. Shall I ask my worker to make the tea? He'll say, no, that guy doesn't make tea well. Should I cook the nasi lemak myself or should I buy? No, my nasi lemak is the best. So if you don't let go, there is no such thing as going into this. You must remember that the more you let go, the more you get to the green. And those who have got to the green, they have control of nothing. You see, if you look at the ones who have reached there, there is a story of Richard Branson, Virgin Atlantic. Virgin Atlantic is like Asia in Europe. Richard Branson is from the music industry and he has multiple business right now. If you look at his lifestyle today, he'll be in a t-shirt or jeans in some beach thinking about like, what do I do next? What is the problem I need to solve today? And he's not in control of the tea, coffee and the nasi lemak. He's completely out of that business. So this middle layer is important. So now when you evolve into a master, you got to decide, are you a revenue master or are you a product master? Because you're trying to take a decision. You tengah fikir, apa yang saya boleh bagi orang lain buat? Apa yang saya kena buat sendiri? So here you're trying to decide, am I the one bringing the revenue? So if you say, I'm the one having the relationship in Putra World Trade Center, the pisang goreng I'm selling, I'm the one who knows this guy here, you hold that. Because that's your master skill. But the pisang goreng, you can let go to somebody else. The transport, you can let go to somebody else. That is part 1. The other type, you have a village in Switzerland where there are craftsmen who make these watch gears. You look at those guys, he's the master of the product. He's not the master of the sales. He makes the best gears in the world and people look for him Then you sit in the next one. You take charge of the product. You take charge of the evolution of the product. You let go the other things. Then comes when you outsource, what you're doing is you're maximizing you and you're letting go to the others. And whatever you let go, if you decide that I'm going to let go the sales, I'm let go the accounting, at that point, you need a mechanism to monitor and control. That's what you need. So in the very, very early days, when McDonald's started, the way they control the drinks is by supplying the specific number of cups. See, the guy who opened 20 outlets, he doesn't control the drink by anything else. He has that branded specific cups which is supplied. If I supply 200 cups and I come back in the evening and there is 50, you have sold 150. That is how they count. So that is a monitoring and control. You have your audit systems and all that. Now at this point, your product need to split to 3. Earlier you had master product and a supporting product. You can survive. It is not difficult. Here you have one master product where it has a good margin and unbeatable. I think one example I had was from y'all the other day. They have products, which is the machinery which they are selling. Margin is not very high. Then they have the service that they do where margin is higher. So if you say service is your master, that means that is the one you are great. That becomes your master product, the first one. Second one is your daily bread. You see, the master product will give you 80% of your profit. You are happy, you run. But that master product usually has a lot of work, a lot of difficulty in making sure you do that sale. But you need the daily bread. Every day, you want the cash register to say ching, 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 you know, it must move. So you need something that runs daily. So if you don't have the daily product, your motivation will go down. You will feel some days are empty, some days are lazy, and some days suddenly you are kicked up. So you need that. Last one is your research and development. Last one is where you will have this modernization. You're looking at what is changing in the world. And you say, I put in incubation a test product. You say, if I test this new product, how is it going to work? So that has to run while the first two is running. Okay, write that term, incubation. Okay, we'll move on. So this is a quick snapshot of McDonald's, which is a very easy example for us to take and demonstrate how they grew and what they did and how they came. You can't copy everything from them because your businesses will be different. And whatever I'm saying in a general term. You got to fine tune to your business. So if you look at McDonald's, it started in 1940, lama dulu. See, waktu British is still in Malaysia. So here, the father, the two guys, the McDonald's brothers, the father started like a stand beside a highway. So these guys came up and say, okay, let me take this stand and rename. It is like what you're trying to do with your 3-generation food business. So this is where you are right now. Trying to rename, they brought a particular name. By 1952, it evolved into like a fast food restaurant, that means quick. What the brothers said, I need one master selling point. So his master selling point was, when you order the burger, I will deliver it to you in 10 minutes. Hot, fresh, right from the oven. So when they were doing that, they say no sitting. Dia kata tak ada tempat duduk. So you come and park, you buy the burger, you stand and eat. This is how you are supposed to do. This is how they did it. Now how did they plan that the whole store to say that I can deliver in 10 minutes? You see, while the whole world was in the cool and comfortable 1940s, 1950s, people don't rush. You will go to a shop, sit down, you order, that guy will take his own sweet time and slow, you dapat makan. It's like that. What these brothers did, dia panggil dia punya pekerja dan sebagainya, they went to a tennis court. Dia pergi ke tennis court, dia bawa kapur and he drew the whole kitchen, actual size. Lepas dia lukis benda ni, dia tulis mana saya punya counter, mana saya punya dapur, where's my drink, where's my oven, where's my toaster. After doing all that, he got all these workers, he said, come and stand there. Now you start selling. Now the brother comes and says, I want one hamburger. Okay, quick, it comes. So when it comes, if you got two guys coming and hitting each other, dia kata benda tu salah. So he'll erase that and change. So with that, he created one master concept which worked really well. So if you look at that, with that one master concept, he could deliver the burger in 10 minutes. So that was a selling point. Now when that happened, 1958, from 1940 to 1958, if you look at 52, they went into fast food. 58, they have sold 100 million burgers. That is what happened. So that was how fast dia punya perkembangan. Sampai macam tu banyak. So if you look at 1962, baru dia kata, okay, I'll give you Cruci Major. You see, from 1940, he said, you come buy my burger, but you stand and eat. Only 1962, they said, okay lah, ada orang yang nak duduk. Okay, let me give you. Okay, but one small interesting twist in this, the later McDonald's that you saw in the world doesn't belong to these two guys. McDonald's yang kemudian, yang kita nampak macam hari ini, whatever you see today, this doesn't belong to the McDonald's brothers. Because halfway through, a twist happened. Ada satu orang, Ray Kroc, he came to sell milkshake machine. And he came to sell paper cup. Itu dia punya kerja. His business was come to McDonald's and he saw what the hell is happening. You know, so many guys are eating. And dia tiap-tiap hari, he's calling shops to sell machine yang buat milkshake. And in 1950s, orang tak nak machine tu. Because I'm okay, I can make my own milkshake. You know, why do I want a machine? So damn difficult to sell. But he suddenly got one order, 6 machine. And he's thinking, who the hell is this guy who can use 6 machines and sell that much of milkshake? He came here, he saw that. Then he got a free visit to go look in the kitchen, how is the system, how is the concept. Came out and he became a franchisee. Dia ambil franchise. But what he changed, which the brothers didn't do, he started buying the land where McDonald's is sitting. Dia mula beli tanah tu. So when this Ray Kroc came, dia ambil satu franchise, tanah tu dia punya. Then under him, he created another 3 or 4. Semua tu dia landlord. Dia punya tanah. So the guy who comes in is a franchisee, paying me a fee, but also paying me a rent. As he expand like that, finally these brothers got wiped out. So they had to sell the rights to J. Kroc. So by 1968, dia dah buka 1,000 restoran. By 1978, 5,000 restoran, termasuk Jepun. By this time, they were slowly changing concept. They have the premium items, health-conscious items. So if you look at this whole thing, you see Ray Kroc died here, 1984. And if you look at Ray Kroc, here, this is a guy. This is one McDonald's, this is other McDonald's, and this guy was born around the same time here. This is the guy who took over. They're here. McDonald's brothers, Joel, McDonald's in 1961. So that is where that thing changed hands. So if you look at from where they were, where hamburger was the thing, then they had the milkshake, and dulu, first time, the milkshake, the signature talk is, it is real milk. Dia beli susu yang betul-betul simpan dalam fridge and he make milkshake. When Ray Kroc took over, he said, no, that is the wrong way of doing. Dia beli serbuk. Dia beli milk powder. He said, I don't need to put in the fridge. So I can expand further. So these are changes that came. Machine, a lot of machine changes. Toaster used to be output of 6. Later it became output of 18. That means satu kali dia boleh bakar 18 ban sekali. So all these changes happened along the way. And they also change. You see, the world is changing. You see, they couldn't have, dari tahun 40 sampai sekarang, dia tak boleh jual satu jenis saja. So as you come, you start hearing in Malaysia, you hear Samurai Burger, Prosperity Burger. You don't hear this in America because that is customized here. And if you go to Amritsar in India, there is the first and only vegetarian McDonald's. You see, if you go there, McDonald's tak pernah fikir untuk vegetarian. Because if you look at McDonald's, the selling point is the meat. How can you remove the meat? So when it went to Amritsar, there is a certain radius, you cannot put meat. And McDonald's, mau dia punya customer. McDonald's studied and he said, so many million people are walking past. I need this customer. So what they did, they say, no problem, I'll change this McDonald's to vegetarian. And they open a vegetarian store. So that is how it goes. And in Japan, they have that customized ones. Today here we have McCafe, which they are competing on the Americano and latte and cappuccinos. So those things are coming up. Now let's come to bookkeeping. You understood that part? That story is clear? Moving forward. Now this one wasn't part of my program, bookkeeping. But the other day, Inche Rashid told me that some of you want to know what is the basic way of bookkeeping. That means accounting part of it. So I'll run through from the basic up to somewhere middle. When it gets to very complex, you need an accountant. You see, you won't be able to run it. Let's go back to that chart, that Warner Tadi. So you have the year 0 up to year 10. So this is how that growth and expansion and all that will be. Your business changes in this manner. So this first level, it is a cash accounting. You call it cash book. You need to have a cash book. How many of you have a cash book? How many of you write down you have a cash book, you have a cash book? Do you have a cash book? What about you? How do you write down your duit keluar, duit masuk? Tapaya tulis, it's all here. So he got a computer chip right there. How about you? Sama juga, it's here. Okay, what about you? You got a cash book. Yourself, belum start. Again? Okay, so you have Excel sheet where you maintain. You haven't started. Yourself? You got a cash book. Okay. Cash book is a very start. The basic principle when you say you have. Okay. So this is a must. You see, when you are running from a hobby, slowly move to the next, you don't need a cash book. Like yours, probably you have a focus customer, focus order, hari ni beli, hari ni jual, and you're clear. Then no need cash book. Duit yang ada tu you boleh pakai. So that is how it is. So when it comes to cash book, this is the oldest way of keeping account. So if you go to those, you would have heard this term chetty. And if you go to Mua, Banda Mua, you go to that main street, ada satu dua bangunan where you have the chetties. Chetties are these people from India, young board money lending, and they put money in business and all that. A lot of these people will sit, squat down, the other satu major, and he has one book. If you look at their way of recording, that is the most brilliant way of recording. You take whatever software, this thing will beat it. But it's not easy for people like us to go and adopt that. So that guy will have one book where he has 4 sections where he writes my money that came in, my money that went out, went to who owes me, who I owe. That's all he has. So this keeps going. So what happens to this guy? Every day, orang datang pinjam duit, okay fine, he's giving 10,000, he records. Somebody is paying back, he records. So at night he's reconciling this and say who has paid and who hasn't paid and which one is bad debt, orang yang dah lari, you know, all these things he does. So with that book, he can run a whole generation of accounting and he knows where the money is. So now, next level here, when you come to year 1, ideally, you must have the cash book and you must have a part-time accountant. That means you cari satu accounting student ke mana-mana, you tell the guy, 3 bulan sekali datang, ambil saya punya cash book, dan you masuk dalam ledger. You do the debit and credit. You as a businessman, don't try to learn this and do yourself because you're wasting your time. You see, what I said earlier, you must think of what to let go. This is one of the things you must let go. Because if you are starting to do your own account, you're wasting time. Your job is to expand your business. So bring in a part-time accountant who can write this down and show you, abang, ini you punya P&L, ini you punya balance sheet, this is your cash flow, abang, ini ada masalah. Let that guy tell you, because you have the cash book already. Third one, when you reach growth, you must have a full-time accountant. The reason is, in business, if you are not making profit, it's not a business. If you are making profit, you want to master that money. If you want to master that money, you must bring a guy who understands that language to show it to you in that language. If you are not willing to do that, you are not going to master the money because that's not your job to start with. See, you shouldn't go and learn those things. Like if you want to make a website, get a designer because that is what he's good for, not you. Now comes here, expansion. You need a finance manager who can come and tell you now, okay, bang, you have started from one man and became 50 orang and now you want to expand. Now he can tell you where should you park your money, how should you change the ratio in the balance sheet. When you go to the bank, how do you get more funding from the bank? How do you negotiate better interest rate? That a finance manager will do. By the time you reach there, you need a CFO. Because by then your business should have multiple lines of product, multiple ways of earning money. So that's the evolution you should look at. So when you talk about bookkeeping, ideally you should learn only this. You don't start learning all this. You should know how it works. You should go and read. Jadi bila dia cerita sama you, you know that language, you know how it works. But you don't become the expert because that's none of your business. Your business is growing your business. Now look at a cash book. Cash book is roughly like this. You can tune this according to your business. Okay, one size will not fit everybody. Business yang lain, ada lain dia punya cara. But the basic is the same. So if you look at this cash book, bahagian pertama ni, bahagian kedua, bahagian pertama is the money in. So in the first part, you are saying, receive from who? Siapa yang bagi you duit tu? Any story you want to mention about it so you remember? What type of it? Is it a capital? Is it a loan? Is it an advance? Because money coming into the company can come as a capital, daripada you ke, you punya bapa ke, siapa-siapa. Sales, bila you jual, you can get as a loan, orang bagi loan. You can get advance, ada customer yang bayar advance, belum ambil produk. Then your donation. So these are all the different ways you can get money. So that comes in there. Then comes money out. Money out can be buyer tax, costs of sales, fixed expense. So those are the types. You see, you will go and write down here. What type is it? Then comes what is a balance. So when you are maintaining this, each time you put a date here, one date will have only one entry either here or here. You don't enter both sides. You have another story, you put one more line and you enter. So every line has only one story. So you say other sales, I got 10,000, you will write here and you say I got 10,000. Next you paid a guy 5,000. You write here and you write here, paid 10,000. This will be blank. So every line has only one story. The line cannot be jumbled up. So you finish up to that. Then the balance is there. And the last part here, this is for month end. Bila tiba hujung bulan, you will take this balance and you will check any accruals. Ada tak orang belum bagi saya bill, tapi saya tahu saya dah pakai service tu. Ataupun I've taken the barang, bill belum sampai. So you'll put that amount. Is there a provision? Is there a requirement for something that you don't know yet? Then what is the reserve you want? Maybe you nak beli satu kereta baru next month, or you want to renovate your office, you nak tambah satu signboard. So that reserve goes here. So when you take this balance, you tolak semua ni, the last is net my money. Now you are at the first step. First step is I, me and myself. So you know that that money is a safe spending limit. That's the money you can use in case you have some quick requirement. Sesuatu yang you want to pakai, that comes from here. That's what it will be. Okay, so before I go to sales register, let me show you how this works in Excel. So in today's case, you can have it in a book, no harm, if your business is not complex. If your business is complex, you do it in an Excel sheet. At the level of year 0 and year 1, that is all you need. Because your accountant, if you record it this way, accountant you akan tahu macam mana nak convert benda ni jadi P&L balance sheet. You don't need to get yourself into a complexity. Okay, when you record, this is how it will look. So this is an example. This is a company that is selling plastic resin, plastic packaging materials and all that. So if you look at this company, dia start, bila dia mula-mula start, dia ada capital. Somebody has put in the capital. Then you went a sales. Before the sales, he has bought the granules from somebody. So it goes on like that. Then dia buy a telecom bill. Then he is buying some packing machine. This is an asset. Yang ni dia beli kerusi untuk bos dia. That is an asset. So you have classified the type, you have classified how the money comes in. That far is clean, easy. Okay, write in that piece of paper, write the cash book. So remember, you are doing this when your business is still not very large. Kalau business dah grow, you should have an accounting software, accounting system. So now when you look at this, hujung bulan, suddenly you say, I want to know how much did I sell. So if you cut that down, that sheet will tell you how much you sold. So here you can clearly see who are the people you sold to, how much you sold to. So in that sheet itself, you can cut it, you can look at it in different ways. You can see where you purchase, what kind of things you purchase. If you are slightly better, you can go into a next analysis. is called a pivot. So if you look at this pivot, if you look at this side, you boleh tweak apa yang you nak tengok, apa you tak nak tengok. So here I have said, I want to see all the places where the money went out and all the places where the money came in. So this summary will tell you who are the people here, sales, siapa yang bagi kita duit. And here you know who you paid and why you paid, what you paid, all those. So if you look at this cash book, this one piece, if you are very disciplined, setiap hari you update, and then you come to month end, you do a reconciliation, you are game. So you are in control of the money. So in money mastery, the first thing is to know where's the money. So this will tell you duit tu di mana and duit tu pergi mana. So that is what this thing says. Is that clear? Okay, so from here, if you say you want to expand a little bit more, I want a little bit more visibility. See, the first session, I told you about dashboard. That means as a pilot in your company, you need those metrics. You want to say, these are the things I want to see. Now, in this, you could see the general flow of business. Now, let's say you want to see the sales side of it. Start another thing called a sales register. That should look like this. This is for you to analyze who bought from you, how much they bought, what kind of volume. So whenever you write in the cash book, kalau benda tu sales, you come and enter here. So here you will say, what is my invoice number? Saya punya invoice number. Saya invoice siapa? What is the description? Berapa amount dia? Now, again, when you are a small timer, cash business, benda ni tak payah. Because the day you give the invoice, dia dah bayar. Now, when your business goes one step more, there is credit. So you need this section that says, tarik bila dia bayar saya, berapa dia bayar, ada tak dia kurang bayar. You see, you can have customers who when they are going to pay, they'll tell you, abang hari tu punya reject tau, ada dua yang tak boleh pakai. That time and he won't pay you. So when that happens, you'll say what is the difference and what is the reason. So kalau reason tu dia kata dua biji reject, I cannot pay you, then you write what is your action. Are you going to replace? Are you going to give him back? Or you are going to give him a discount and close it. That way that line becomes closed. That line that opened up as one invoice, it's one job, one supply, that gets closed. Then comes a fixed expense. Again, from the one man, when you expand to the next level, the fixed expense is monitored or it is looked at in a slightly different way. Fixed expense always starts with a budget. Because when you say rent, you must see other rental agreement. You must see other expiry date for it. And you must have monthly how much you're paying. So when you pay equal amount here, it is fine. So all this has got budget. So when you're running the show, you say my electricity budget here is 3,000 a month. If you find every month is coming 2008, 2005, you're happy, you're fine. One month it becomes 3005, because there is a budget, you will wake up. You'll say it cannot be, it should be less. So what went wrong? Ada tu orang tak switch off? Is there something that didn't go? So this helps you take action. Because as you know, when you expand, you have let go of certain things. And when you let go, somebody else could be screwing you and you don't even know. So those are things where you have that target and you measure against it. Payroll. When it is I, me and myself, it's very easy. Bila nak duit, you take from the bank. It's not difficult at all. When it is more than I, me and myself, then you need the payroll. See, so here, payroll, what happens is you write the whole thing. Payroll has two sections. The section one is the dollar, up to here. That means talking about upper dia punya basic salary allowance and all that, you got gross, then you deduct EPF, SOXO, unpaid leave and all that, net pay. So this net pay is what you're paying him as a salary. So you can write when did you pay, what was the check number. Why you do this? Because the moment you have employee, your obligation increases. You see, you have government watching you, EPF is watching you, income tax is watching you, because at the year end, employee yang kerja sama you, you will issue a EA form to say, saya bayar you gaji sekian-sekian, saya potong EPF sekian-sekian. So if you have a record, siapa datang tanya pun, you got something to trace. So that goes up to here. Then comes, this one is his salary, you deducted. Then you have the employer portion of the EPF. This is your expense. So you'll write here. Then you have here, which is the rights. That guy has got a rights for annual leave. So you track the annual leave, berapa dia annual leave bulan ni, berapa dia dah ambil, berapa balance. So that goes on. Because annual leave is a hidden expense. When you say someone has got 20 days annual leave, itu bermakna kita bagi dia cuti, dia tak kerja hari itu, tapi you bayar gaji. So that 20 days is an expense. So that comes at the bottom. So now, at this point, you have people working for you, and it's time to look at a part-time accountant. See, the moment you reach this point, you should start considering, can I have a part-time accountant? Inventory is another thing. Inventory is like, I think, your trophy, you might have inventory. You buy and keep stock, right? So when you come to inventory, when it is very basic, you have to do 2-3 barang, everything is here. So you walk around with the computer inside here. So when you have more things, then you open up a lot more. So same macam duit, you have the receipt. Berapa you terima barang tu, berapa you dah issue, berapa balance dia. So that is what you have here. So here you record in two denominator. One is a quantity, the other one is a dollar value. Okay, why you do this? Because the part-time accountant who's picking this up, he's going to calculate this and put it into your cost of sales. So he need to know what is the value, total value over here. Now one more thing happens. If this SKU has an expiry date, then you have one more column that talks about expiry date. And you have your own formula to say that if the expiry is 1 month down the line, barang tu 1000, value dia 1000. If the expiry is 1 week down the line, the value is no more 1000 because you are forced to sell it at a low price. So the value goes down. Then there are other records like all this. Paid up capital, asset register, liabilities register. Asset register is like when you buy Creta, Moto, or you buy Bangunan, then you write it down. Liabilities is when you take a loan, you know what's a loan repayment, sampai bila kita nak bayar, those kind of things. So if you look at this much, kalau you dah tiba sini, and you don't have an accountant, then you shoot yourself. You see, you must have an accountant, because if you have reached that stage, even at the cheapest accountant, you should have an accountant. So companies will always ask this question that, you know, when you hire an accountant, say a full-time accountant will cost you about 2,000 or 3,000 ringgit. And then if your business is not very active, that guy half the time he's free. So what you should generally do is take the guy as a finance and admin person. So let him also do some administrative work, let him also call the transporter, let him also call the workers, because that's administrative work. So that is a camouflage you put for the accountant. So that the accountant sits and does your job, but you don't give him free time. So that is what happens. Okay, so far so good. We are almost coming to the last part. This far, all those different things you understand, right? Okay, write one more thing down there, accounting software. Okay, before I go into the wrap up, those cash book, asset register, all those things which I showed you, probably by tonight I'll upload into the web. I'll send you the link. Then you can download the Excel itself. Lepas you download, you customize the thing. You change those things what you like, and then you can start using. How many of you don't prefer Excel? You don't like Excel. Who else? Okay, so you are from the previous generation. See, there is a generational gap in this whole thing. Even if you take my boss started the business in 1992. See, he was a banker, started in 92, went on and expanded. The company became from 1 company to 15 companies. So this guy is like great. I mean, his level of business acumen is great. But till today, he doesn't like Excel. He takes Excel for analysis. Tapi kalau dia nak catat, dia pakai buku juga. So if you want to write down something, even if he's talking to you like this, the rest of us might use iPad, laptop, no, he doesn't. He will use a book and write down. And he follows only that. So that is your habit. So there is no right and wrong about it. If you are happy with the book, keep the book. Let somebody else do this for you. So looking back, we had these financial reports and numbers. It's about your tea break, but I'm just going to take a little bit more so that I can finish it. Then you can take your tea break and be happy after that. So you have this part we spoke, okay? This part, whatever I touched, is the most simplified, easy to understand things about P&L, balance sheet and cash flow. So like I said, going forward, this is not something that you will be doing. You will be reading it, but somebody else will do this for you. That's what happens here. Then you have this one that talks about how you should evolve. This is a lot more important for you. If you take this, plug it into your business and say, what am I going to do in this? This timeline you got to change. Because some business requires only 1 or 2 months incubation and can start. Some business will need a month. Like when you launch product baru, mungkin dalam 2 bulan atau 3 bulan dah tahu market ada ke tidak. So that time is shorter. So but this part, the personal milestone and this business milestone, this part is important if you want to survive. If your business want to last like McDonald's, those visibilities are needed. Then comes his last part. See here, you need to know when you reach the point of accounting software. You need to know when you reach the point of part-time accountant. Meanwhile, there is also a third option. If you look into the net, into Google, there are those very simple accounting softwares which don't need much work. The moment you sell, you punch in everything, that thing will do the accounting. When you buy, you punch in, it does the accounting. If you try that and that is easy, that becomes your part-time accountant. That software becomes your part-time accountant. So that is where that is. So let's see tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to hear your 10-minute speech. Let's see how much you have fired up your dream, how much you could see it clearly, and we move forward. Let's come back to your dashboard. So that's the dashboard we started with when we started the training. So this is a pilot trying to land. He can see everything. There are hundreds of things he can read. He can read the wind speed, he can read his speed, and he can see the fuel, 1,000 different things. Now when he lands the aircraft, that's what happened. What happened when he landed? It started swaying, like hell. Because when he's coming down, there is a certain wind speed in his calculation. So the wind speed in this particular airport that day, it had a different layer. The bottom layer, the wind speed was different, wind direction was also different. So pilot has adjusted everything to that wind speed at that layer. So when he got there, there is a storm developing and he had to do the quick adjustment at that time. So while flying, he's trying to make that adjustment. Of course, in that flight, the passengers would have got tossed and turned. They can't see the outside. You see, you'll get in tossed and turned and suddenly it is stable. And you'll think, fine, that guy is a hero, he has landed well. So just like that, your business will also have storms. Despite all this story, you say, Summa Chante Chante, you write down and comes very well. The biggest storm right now is this COVID crisis. COVID is a storm that nobody expected. But you also can see the storm has made some companies grow like hell. If you see the building somewhere opposite there, there is a Top Glove building. Top Glove has grown much more. Face mask guys has grown much more. But all the others are sitting home because there's no business. So that is a storm you got to be ready for. So even if you have the dashboard, 2 types of storm will hit you. One is real, like this COVID crisis, economic downturn. The other biggest one we had, Malaysia had, was currency crisis. So when you look at currency crisis time, when I'm selling, I'm happy because somebody pay me in US dollars and I get more money because my currency is weak. But if I'm buying, I'm screwed because I've signed an agreement and say I'm buying. Now my currency is weak. So those kind of things are storms which you can't expect because that's not in your control. So nothing is static. As you're doing this 5-year plan, 10 years plan, whatever it is, look at what is changing and what will change in the lifestyle and in the way people do things. How do you sell your service right now? How do you sell your service? Phone? Okay, so do they call you? So they call you, correct? How do you think that will change in the next 3 years? How the call will change? Now they call you, that's how they get in touch. Do they WhatsApp? Yes, they do that. What else will change? What do you think will change next year, the way the customer do it? Okay.
Maybe I will create a website where they can log in and ask for the orders.
Okay. What else?
We do marketing flyers to all domestic and
Okay. What else?
domestic and companies.
All this is already there.
All
What
right.
else? Okay, let's take his example. He's Apidanaye. He does all water-related repairs, maintenance, electricity-related repairs, maintenance. Now, let me give you the scary story, the horror story. Okay. Your business, right now, you have repeat customers, your people who call you, people who WhatsApp, Gambira, everything is running fine. Right now is a COVID crisis. Let's put this in reality. Let's say 1 year down the line, what is going to happen? Every guy who can hold a spanner is going to become your competitor. Because if I can hold a spanner and I can open book up pipe, I'll buy a toolbox, I will also advertise plumbing. You see, because that industry, nobody cares whether you got a certificate, nobody cares whether you know the job. So when I'm making a call for my house, all I'm looking at is a phone number. I don't know whether it's a Bangladeshi guy who will come or whether it's a Chinese guy who will come, I have no idea. So now that's going to happen, right? One. So your industry is going to change with multiple small-time guys who have very low overhead and only a toolbox, and he's going to come and fight with you. Now what else is going to happen? A Grab kind of guy is going to start an app and connect all the small guys. You see, a Grab kind of guy is going to say, come on, I have an app, connect here, I'm plumbing available. And he's already there, I think Australia has that. Yeah, Malaysia has that. So that's going to hit you. Now the app, look at your customers now. During this time, these kind of young people are going to buy a house. These are the people who are going to get into a house. You think they are going to make a call and WhatsApp? They are not even going to remember your number. They are going to look at quickly Google Store, Manaitu app, okay, this is the app, quickly go in, rating 5-star, this plumber, okay, call him. I'm really, really tired, okay, 4-star, never mind, let me call. That's the change that's going to happen. So if you are not prepared for the app yourself, or not prepared to go into the app and create the rating, your business plan will not stand 5 years. So those are the little things you need to look at in the business. All these things, what will sweep me away? What will change? What do you think akan bertukar dalam sabun tu? If you are selling sabun, today high demand, orang tengah beli, dia connect pakai apa? Is it WhatsApp? Sekarang dalam perniagaan tu, the connection is how?
Bagaimana saya deliver benda tu?
Bukan.
Bagaimana
Macam mana
saya
customer
beli?
hubungi?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp satu, another one. Also we have kami ada kedai dekat Uptown Shah Alam dengan Prima Sarjana.
Okay.
So mereka pergi jumpa face to face direct pun ada. Tapi mostly WhatsApp lah.
WhatsApp, then you deliver.
Yes, post.
Okay. So what else will change in that? Apa yang akan bertukar?
Apa yang? Okay, and after this I akan hire marketing group. And I akan supply dalam amount yang banyak pada mereka lah.
Okay.
Means MOQ,
Like
and I will reset the different price. So mereka yang akan ambil tu dia akan dapat margin lah, lebih murah. So dia orang akan deliver to customer.
Mereka tu macam stockist lah.
Stockist, another one marketing group.
Okay.
Yang I baru build up sekarang, I hire marketing group.
Okay.
So mereka dah memang jual banyak produk and have customer.
Okay.
So dia orang akan ambil dari I lah.
Okay. Tapi belum fikir nak pergi ke Shopee atau Lazada.
Mereka akan help me.
Okay.
Will be that.
Okay.
So
fine.
memang berfikir lah.
Okay. That means she has thought of some things that is going to change
Yes.
and trying to put the thing there.
If I only do
One
by
more
myself.
One more thing which will change your industry and your industry is the other one, which is the reminder service. Because right now, you supply a soap to somebody, ada katala satu customer, and you got an app and the guy bought 5 soap. You know this 5 soap can last only about 5 months. It cannot last forever. So after a couple of months, there would be a prompter that says, how is my soap? Do you want to order again? You will service an aircon somewhere. You know in 6 months it has to be serviced. And you know your customer will wait until it breaks down. So you have to wait for 6 months. 5 months later, you prompt up and say, sir, your Toshiba unit, this is it good? Can I come and service it? So what is happening is, this generation, this is a lazy generation. This generation will not think, they will not keep track, they will buy things and wait for things to come to them. You look at cars, kereta yang you beli sekarang, bila sampai 6 bulan, dia sendiri hantar SMS. They'll say, come please service. Why that shouldn't happen in your pipe and aircon? Those are things that will happen because it's already there. You get to the cars and if you don't go, the car will come back and send you one more SMS and say, listen, your guarantee will lapse. If you don't come, your guarantee will lapse. So first the guy tell you friendly, you punya kereta dah 6 bulan, tolong datang service. You tak service, dia kata, you tak datang tak apa, tapi you punya guarantee akan lapse. Now it give you fear. So it's driving you into it. So you take the subsequent younger generation, they are the type who outsource everything which is not theirs. And all your customers are going to be like that. Because that's the next wave. They are the type who thinks, this is what I'm good at, I'm going to do this, that I'm not good at, I'm not going to get into it. So you got to fit that in. So that is what happens there. So let's hear your stories tomorrow. And after tomorrow, if you find you need more input, more help or something, contact Rashid. And then we'll set up the sessions for you, probably individually. And then we'll move forward. So far so good. Have your tea break. Thank you very much.